you something else that I was just having fun with, and I don't think anybody realized what I was doing. But I did an entire painting with the square brush. Let me see if I can find it. And you guys will go, oh, okay. And then when I zoom in, you'll see it's all squares. And it's just really...
I normally do my digital painting with square brushes, and I think it's so... It has such a cool geometric blocky feel.
Yeah, and it feels really funky.
I have a really good brush that anyone can grab at any time. It's free online. So if you guys want me to share, I can put it on the chat.
Sure. I'll grab it.
Yeah, definitely.
No, Roland.
Which one?
The fake one, you.
But I'm not.
It's a real Slim Shady.
I'm Slim Shady though. All you other Rolands are just imitated.
That's funny. Okay, you guys remember I did this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but what you guys didn't see was that I used a square brush for everything in this painting. If you guys look at it, that is just the squares moving along. If you guys zoomed in, you would notice that everything in this thing is painting, is with squares.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's sort of like in oil paints that you don't use technically like round brushes, except for the detail.
Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of squares, Alan, are you going to cover pixel art at some point this semester?
We'll be using MS Paint for that.
Oh, okay.
Well, realistically, Roland, you can apply the same. You can apply the same principles of like what Alan is teaching us here to pixel art, because
Yeah.
pixel art is just kind of breaking it down even more. So depending on like what style you want to do, it's just really about finding the right values, just like with your blacks and whites, and then like color picking.
Here's the cool thing. So I am going to use a square brush right now, and I am going to bring the opacity back up to 100%. And let's do a little bit of a figure drawing in pixel. So if we grab ourselves a basic shape of, say, a humanoid, and then I take the eraser, you can start... Oop, that's not the eraser. Oh, you know why? Because of my paper. Let's do that again. And layer. Okay. So I thought you were joking when you said pixel art. So I'm taking it seriously now. Let's draw a human figure in the silhouette.
I was half joking.
Half joking. Okay, I'm going to show you something cool then. We are painting with shape, and we are creating a character with just the shape. Now, the part where the drawing comes in is when we start erasing stuff. So if we have our figure here and we start taking the opacity down, and we can start actually doing relief drawing with that, and we can make it pixely if we want, but we don't have to. We can start creating the actual figure out of this, and it's almost like painting. So let's say we got our dude and we'll give him a spear. Right. Behind the dude, we will give him, say, a shield. And this is how you paint with shapes.
So your basis for creating characters is first using shapes and then adding a figure underneath to kind of like fix the proportions, or
This is one way that you can sketch and draw and do costumes really, really quick. Because you don't have to think about it. And once you get, say, this basic shape going on, and because every character design really relies upon shape language, and if you can get the shape language right, then he's totally recognizable as a character. Does that make sense? So if you have characters that you've designed and they have really solid shape language, it's so much easier to draw the costume and everything on top. So what I will do is say, this is a basic figure. And now I got the guy and I figure his spear's going to go here. He's holding a sheet or a blanket or whatever he's holding in his hand. I take the opacity and I turn it down. And that's when I actually start to draw. So this is when I will get the composition and everything right. And I will start drawing and sketching, like give this guy a face and I'll give him some armor. And this is totally how you sketch and draw from your imagination. So I'm going to put like, I don't know, fur or chainmail or something on this guy and start giving him a helmet and fixing the shape design. And let's say we're building his costume and giving him some shoulder pads, stuff like so, and creating the basic character. And this is when I will do corrections and say, okay, so that arm is not long enough. This is where the hand is going to go. And every step in this process, I will take this and I'll go, so that's not feeling right. I will take the opacity down and I will go, okay, so I can still use that, but I'm still going to come back and do some fixes because I now feel that the legs are too short to the size of the helm or the head, and I'm going to stick his legs down here. I will never really erase anything that's underneath because everything that you put on top is going to feel more painterly and it's going to feel more traditional. It's going to feel less like digital, and it's going to really start feeling like you were painting. See? So I can take this and I can take my eraser because I keep adding and taking away and figuring out how the light is going to work. And just like Bob Ross says, happy accidents start to happen. And you have things like this over here where the spear, and you can start creating some cool designs on the spear because this sort of thing is happening to you that you wouldn't normally get if you were just drawing with a line. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you end up getting cool things like that. See that shape that happened? I didn't mean to do that, but that makes a perfect gauntlet. See, there's a plate that's sitting on top, and then there's a plate that's sitting underneath. And if I was trying to make this up as I was going along, that would have never happened. Right? And then I'm looking at this shape here, and I'm going, oh, that's cool. I can make some cool design out of that and make it feel like it's like little pieces of metal that are like bumpy. And then this line that I drew here, I'm going to create that into collar cuff, like the end of a sleeve. And then this, I'm going to darken in. And then you start getting the drawing. You see how this is coming forward?
Yep.
Yeah, and then everything that you do, put another layer on top, and then you can still save it, and then you can, if you don't like any of it, but you still like the shape language, you can continue to turn the opacity down and still work on the drawing or the shape. And that's one of the methods that I use to create comps and create artwork from my imagination. Because if I didn't do it this way, I wouldn't be able to create like things like this. Like I would never be able to create that. And I drew everything in this by doing that method. Everybody's quiet. Are you moved, or are you just like, okay?
I'm just working as you're explaining this. Like if, like on my stream, I'm just going at it with your method.
Yeah.
Alan, if you guys want, sorry.
Pardon?
I was just saying, if you want to know how I feel, like it's just constant amazement and being speechless.
Awesome, and I hope this is moving you guys forward with digital, because digital, when you first start digital feels like it's plastic. It becomes unreal, and it's very frustrating because what you want to put on the page never seems to go onto the page unless you start using it as a painting tool instead of a photo manip tool. So let's do something figuratively. Or do you guys have other ideas? Like, do you want to show me work and I'll show you how to improve it or get it stronger? So it's totally up to you guys.
Yeah, I'd be up for that, just because like I have digital work that I've done in the past that I would really appreciate your feedback on.
Cool. Then let's pop it up, and I can take screenshots, and I can show you what I mean.
Sure.
Yeah. But do you see the way? Isn't it cool the way I drew this figure? And just like it's so much easier than trying to draw a character design with just line work.
It is. It is.
And it's fast. That's how you do things fast. You use the shape language. And everybody says shape language, but nobody explains it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this lesson has felt like like one of those clickbait YouTube videos that'd be like top 10 art hacks that art school doesn't teach you, that type of thing.
Yeah, it's so weird because it's so useful. Do you see how when I was drawing and clipping in, and it's like this character design is, you see these shapes that got erased, and the reason why I leave everything there is because look, it created a boot for me, and I do not even have to figure out how. And there's the folds of the cloth. See it? And the kneecap is sitting right in there. And I don't know how many times I would try, but if I was trying to do this like with just line work, it would take so much longer. See, it actually created the boot for me, which is wonderful. See the other boot? It's like, yeah, it's awesome.
This might sound like an oddly specific thing to ask. Like, how do you handle grass and stuff when you're doing like landscapes in nature?
Did you say grass or glass?
Grass.
Grass. Okay, that's a very, very good question. Now, grass has a shape language all its own, and it's very unique. So this is the way
I one of my examples before you start, because there's a thing that I tried to do grass in the foreground, and it doesn't look like it fits in with the rest of the piece. So that's why I'm asking.
Okay, well, let's have a peek, and then I'll show you how I would create grass.
Do you want me to post it in Discord, or do you want to look at my stream just to see what I'm doing?
It's up to you. Whichever easiest.
I'm streaming it right now if you'd like to take a peek.
Okay, I gotta find your...
I'm Rolanda.
Rolanda. And you're supposed to snap your fingers when you do that. Rolanda. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to think about is when grass gets closer to us, it's going to get bigger. And you have drawn grass that is very, very close to us. So as it gets farther away, it's going to get smaller. So I'm looking at the size of the figure, and then I'm thinking my experiences I had in like a field and tall grass that feels like that. So the way I would start tackling it is like this, and it's going to happen in layers. Okay, ready?
Okay.
So, and then we will go back to, I'll take a look at the other people's work that wanted me to take a look. So
Sure.
I'm going to take a look at photographic reference, and I'm going to look at the way the shape language is in grass, but I don't have any. So I'm just going to start drawing some shapes for grass. And did you know that if you hold down the shift tool, that you can keep drawing these shapes like this instead of when it touches, it will generally, if I hit the thing down, it would disappear. Does that make sense? That made no sense, didn't it?
Yeah, you can also click on the little squares on the top left to
Right. So
do the thingy.
Good. So what I'm doing is I'm going to use the lasso tool to create this sort of shape going on. And then if it's grass and maybe yellowish green or brownish green, I don't know, whatever color you want your grass to be. It doesn't really matter what the color is. As long as the shape language is right, it will always look like what it's supposed to look like. So here we go. So I'm going to use broad strokes going like that. And then another layer on top. And I'm going to take that shape. And I'm just going to grab it. Move it over a little, pull it down. There. Select, deselect. And I know my grass is appearing gray. And then I'm going to create a little bit of movement and wind in it. You can still see what I'm doing, right?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. And then I am going to merge those layers down, deselect, and then I am going to copy, and I'm going to paste, and then I'm going to take that one, and I'm going to move it there, and then I'm going to paste, and I'm going to move it here, and then I'm going to paste, and then I'm going to move it there, and then I will merge those down, and I will take my eraser tool and make them all individuals. And the more that I do this, the more it's going to start feeling like grass. And now that I've drawn it at that size, the cool part is I take it and shrink it down, and I will put it into the painting. Yes, exactly. That is exactly what you should. Yes, and you can take the warped. Who's doing that? Is that you?
Yeah, the warp tool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can take the warp tool. Well, first copy it, and then you will have the original down below. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you will be able. Yeah, as long as you have your original, you're okay.
I have the original. He's just disappearing for now, but he's still there.
Good. That's perfect.
Cool.
And paste, and then you can transform and warp. Because the cool thing with Photoshop is you really only have to draw it once.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing is try this. Do you see how you got your painting and it's really rich? If you turn the opacity down on those layers, the other grass will show through.
Whoop, what did I just do? I clicked the wrong layer.
So put your opacity to like 90 and you'll see it'll start to look more like a painting instead of a stencil. Put another layer of the same stuff on top and you'll see.
Okay. One sec. Maybe I have to darken it a bit? What am I doing? Should I like...
The green, I would go 90 and 90 so that you can see the paint strokes. Do you see how mine looks?
Yes, one sec. I know what you're doing, yeah. I think I need to go darker with the bottom one,
Yeah.
though.
And then... So
and then lighter with this one.
What I would do at this stage, that now that I have this shape language going on, is that I would now start doing the drawing side of it, so that you can. Right. So now I'm getting pieces of grass stalk and the fine little details.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever is closest to us, of course, is going to be darker.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you combine all your stuff down when you're done and you like the...
Yeah, if I like the shape language and I like the design, I will merge them all down because I usually do an entire painting in 3 or 4 layers. And I don't like having to look for what one I'm working on. That just drives me nuts.
Ooh, something just glitched out. One sec.
And some people have like 50 or 60 layers. I have no idea how people do that and keep them organized.
I've seen people like color code them and like add names. There's so much work.
It is. And all I want to do is draw and paint. And when it starts looking like a spreadsheet, it stops becoming creative.
That's so cool. Sorry, I'm just testing out. Yeah.
Yeah, so now take that. Yeah, take that and put that into your painting, and it's going to look fantastic.
One sec.
Alan, by chance, would you recommend making these into brushes themselves, or would you recommend just doing them individually and then putting them into your painting?
No, because if you make it into a brush, what's going to happen to you is that every time you go to paint grass, it's going to look the same. You don't want that. And every time you go to draw something, it's going to look the same.
Mm-hmm.
And you want it, you want it to be different every time. And sometimes, like, all grass is different and it all needs our individual attention. And to be honest, this is not time intensive. It looks time intensive, but it's not.
Mm.
Yeah. It's super quick. It's like, this is what Photoshop was meant to do for you. It wasn't meant to be a pain in the butt. And this is why the lasso tool, I swear, the lasso tool was created for this purpose and this purpose alone.
Yeah, because that's what I never got. I'm like, people have like a super complex piece of concept art that looks like it took them hundreds of hours to make. And then you would ask them and be like, yeah, I did this in like 5 hours.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense for me.
From beginning to end, you can see how this grass that I drew and all these things that I drew and sketched, they don't take a lot of time. And if you use the method that I'm showing you, it really becomes super, super, super fast. And it feels like drawing and creating and making something. You get that creative vibe, and it's no longer photo manipulating. You're actually drawing and you're painting.
Yeah.
And it feels good, doesn't it?
Since you were looking at people's work, I was considering if you could explain to me from your like painterly perspective how I could go about doing this. Here, I'll put it up on my screen. But I was experimenting with painting myself. There were a lot of fuck-ups because one, I was drawing on white. 2, I wasn't really using grayscale. I was just kind of going at it.
Yep. Yeah.
So that fucked a lot of things up.
The two biggest things that you could do to yourself and make yourself frustrated and angry is what you did when
100%. Yeah. And I think it really took a toll on like the things I was working on or like the sketches I was doing.
Oh, it kills your like emotion. It kills your inspiration. It just makes you feel like, oh my God, what am I doing so wrong? Everybody else can use this, but why can't I?
Yeah, it was frustrating to say the least.
Okay.
But I was just trying to like, I don't know how to approach jackets made of different material. Like if something was made out of like some like the only way I can describe it is like the actual material itself, like polyester, like something like really flat and like somewhat reflective versus like a leather versus like just like a cotton blend. It's like I want to know how to get those different feelings for each type of jacket.
It's not that hard, but what we need to get first is to grab ourselves some photographic reference so we can study it and see what makes that material that material. So,
I actually do have something that I have tried to draw in the past.
Yeah, pop it up and we'll take a look at it and I'll show you how to analyze from the photograph what makes that material that material.
Okay, perfect. Because I've struggled with this for so long. Let me just pull it up real quick.
And there's going to be, I'm going to ask you to do something, and it is, okay, that's going to be quite easy. Yeah. Okay. So first explanations on how we're going to achieve this. Okay. Because this is